Hello, everybody. I'm nervous, and welcome to my channel. Okay. Where did this box go? I feel like I really just saw it right here. So we're gonna do Asbeel, and we're gonna see what the Angel of Ruin has to say. So I'm going to use. Oh snap! I don't know if I turned this over to live chat or not. Oh well, I hope I didn't miss. Oh well, it's in the past now. I'm going to use the Angel Oracle cards to lay the network and XC summon. I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh because there's an anime all day channel, but all they do is play Yu-Gi-Oh. So, 1 second. Also, I'm gonna have some French fries coming in. So gonna eat those. I don't know why I'm so nervous. So I'm gonna use these to lay down the 10 Sephira of the Kabbalah Tree of Life and the Void Dayat in the middle. And then I'm going to shuffle on top the year 2 Angelarium Oracle cards, or Angelarium cards. They're not Oracle cards, it's just year 2 Angelarium. I'm going to put Asbeel in the heart, and then we're going to see how everything connects outwards. And then I'm going to use the Diceology to see what those branches are. So my parents just called me in to ask me if I was the culprit behind some mysterious goings on in the house at like 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, I was asleep. And then my dad was like, oh, maybe it was the fairies. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because I watched that today. Where's my phone? Hey Siri. Where are you? Oh, literally right here.
Here I am.
Thank you, Siri. It's 7:47. Airplanes, Boeing, jumbo jets. Oh, it's literally right there. Okay, nice work. So the reason why I didn't do this before I came live is because this, for me, it's a part of the process, right? There are some things I do where setting it up and like removing other things, it's all a part of the reading. It's not necessarily part of the reading. It's part of the process. I don't know why I'm so nervous. The nerves, girl. The nerves. It's fine. I wonder if spirit is allowed to feel nervous, especially certain energies. Like, oof, it's been a while since we've done anything this sort of whatever, right? So let's go. I'm just gonna look through these. Look, Keter. I'm probably gonna mispronounce all of these. At the bottom of the deck, that's at the top. Number 1, spirituality. Hod. Left leg submission. I guess if you want to see Hod. Reminds me of one of the Norse gods, Hod. Dayat, the void. Bina, left eye. So far we got 2 on the left. Gavura, left hand, judgment. The whole left side, the left pillar of judgment is complete before anything comes out on the right, which is interesting. I don't know what it means, but it's interesting. Yesod, root. I don't have enough space for this, but we'll make do. Netza, right leg, endurance. Tiferet, heart. Malkuth, ground. Chesed, I don't know how to pronounce these. Right hand, empathy. And then last but not least, Chakma, right eye, wisdom. Literally the last card. So the left pillar was complete before the right. If I knew more about the Kabbalah Tree of Life, maybe I would have found some significance in that. It's the pillar of judgment before the pillar of mercy. I thought it was the pillar of mercy, but it's the pillar of empathy? Hold up. The pillar of severity is this one, the left one. The pillar of mercy is the right one. And it's interesting because in some systems of belief, the left channel is feminine and the right is masculine. And it's interesting, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's interesting that the feminine channel is the one of severity. But have you ever tried to get between a mama bear and her babies? I'm actually going to shift this because I have more room this way. And I'm probably going to talk a little less for a moment. So I'm trying to ground myself. Well, I already feel the headache. I felt the headache before I even started to do this. Still don't quite have all the space that I would like, but that's fine. I can condense this a little bit. There we go. How am I going to do this? And I'm going to timestamp where this begins because this will take me a second to set up. Asbeel is literally at the bottom of the deck. Who is this? Yeah, we're going to take you out. It's the card that says nothing. And if the other one makes a noise, we'll take that one out too. The other half. I feel like we're not even like necessarily all the way here yet, which is fine. You know, everything is timeless anyway. It's not like I've ever been good at like, oh, I'm going to read this and it's going to happen to you tomorrow. Who is this? Satario, Angel of Deception. The one who could weave the threads of reality. Weaving the threads of reality, though, it's like when we say things that we don't mean, but then it ends up coming to be. It's like not under, it's like when you come into a certain level of, I guess, manifestive authority, it's going to be important for you to be aware of what you're saying and thinking. And again, I don't know how close we get to this, but if you think of like God said, let there be light and there was light, like I'm not saying that we're going to be out here like Papa John's, boom, and then a pizza pop up, right? But with that, like weaving the threads of fate, when he died in the play, he died in real life. It's almost like he didn't understand that it was actually real himself, or he didn't know how real it was himself. Angel of the Waning Moon, Angel of Sagittarius, Advakiel, and Semyaza? Sariel. I should know Sariel by this point. They're both looking in the same direction, and they look very much like, or at least Sariel is looking. Actually, Sariel isn't. That was the owl. That's the owl. I saw the owl as a face that was looking out in that direction. It almost looked like a mask. Maybe it's that mask of truth. It was feathered antlers or branches or something like that. Okay, I'll give it another one. Oh, he's literally right there at the top of the deck after the shuffle. So I'll put you in the heart, and we'll just go. through these. Oh my gosh. All right. Where do I put in the void? Do I put anything in the void? In the void, I want to put something completely different. I guess an energy oracle card. Bottom of the deck, Cambiel, Angel of Aquarius, Phanuel, Angel of Truth at the top. So we're sitting between the Angel of Truth and the Angel of Aquarius. Which isn't bad, right? Which is like, okay, so, maybe I'll be on to something. I don't know, or should I leave? No, I want to put something. I don't have anything. I want to put something that doesn't belong in this space, in the space of the void. Now I'm going to do my best to connect these. And I'm actually going to use my little cheat sheet because I'm pretty sure I know how these work, but I want to make sure I'm not putting a pathway where there isn't a pathway, even though I kind of want to, honestly. Okay. Did I already shuffle these? This is 1, 2, 3. What? I would have assumed that went to your side. That goes directly to Malkuth? What? Okay. You learn something new every day. And then 7 and 8 and 9. I did not plan this out. I don't plan out a lot of stuff. So we're just gonna get into it. Oh gosh. So the bottom of the deck is a stargate that leads to fantastic places, correcting what has been misused and stabilizing timelines. And I'm starting to feel like nauseous. So it's like I just got over this feeling. Oh, I was feeling like this like all day after I watched whatever that video was. Mm-mm. I don't even have any water. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Hey Zelda, welcome back. I'm actually gonna put these in the box. First, what I should have done was see, but I don't have my overhead light anymore because it's been excuse me, cycling through colors and resetting itself. So I was because I wanted to use the camera for this part, but it's fine. How do I do this? Okay. We're gonna read these simultaneously. It's like wings, so we're gonna go out. There wasn't anything that branched these? Yeah, there are paths here, but they're not numbered. That's going to be even more cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more. It's fine. No problem. I'm not ready for this. It's fine. So let's get a general overview. So we have 2 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 4 of spades, 5 of diamonds, 3 of spades, 6 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, 7 of clubs, and the ace of clubs as the cards. We have 3 threes, 3 of hearts, 3 of spades, 3 of diamonds. We have 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ace. Just start somewhere. Okay. So even though I don't have a card here, I'm going to go up. So the first 2 things that Asbeel are going to chain to. On the left side is Gabriel. On the that's funny. That's a little synchronicity there. Sometimes synchronicities come and it's like, why that one though? So Gabriel, the Golden Herald, and Remiel, Angel of Visions. Oh, this is kind of dark. There we go. This Golden Herald embodies those transmissions. Actually, we're going to do it this way so I can read this. Oh, yeah, that works. That's too much. I need that light. Oh, I have this light. Maybe. Yes. Okay. Bear with me. Oh, and now I get to remember the timestamp. I'm going to grab this. Gotta move this over here. Oh, this was not well thought out, but that's fine. There we go. It ended up working nicely enough, and then I can point this up here so I can read the back of the cards. Hello. Blind myself, why don't I? Yeah, there we go. More or less. More, please. And I need to timestamp, so I'm going to timestamp this really quick. Bear with me. I'm all over the place, and it's going to be that way because this is not going to be straightforward. I didn't even look at the time, so I'll say 19 minutes about. Those aren't even zeros. Okay, so actually, I'll read Asbeel first because that makes sense. We'll start at the beginning. So, Asbeel, Angel of Ruin, is the reason why I'm doing this. It says, the great sage Asbeel was a beloved storyteller. Gifts were brought to him regularly from those who wished to hear him speak, a tradition he loved. So I'll read that again. The great sage Asbeel was a beloved storyteller. Gifts were brought to him regularly from those who wished to hear him speak, a tradition he loved. His dictation started at dawn each day. The constant stream of tokens he was presented meant he spent his day speaking almost without end. When war came, he held out hope for peace. So it feels like in that, Asbeel came out with an energy a few weeks ago, and one of the readings where I used these cards because they were the only cards I had, um, where it's like when people would leave Asbeel gifts and where he would tell them the stories, it almost felt that like you could take a gift to Asbeel and he would tell you how to use it, or he would tell you how you could use it more effectively. Maybe there was someone with a gift that was complimentary, and he would suggest that you go meet up with that person. It felt like he was an energy that could expound upon a gift to further it, evolve it. It's very much like if you've ever played a video game where you have like talent trees, or after you reach a certain level, you get to specialize, right? So let's say that you are a fire person, and so you get to specialize in like thunder and lightning if you want, because like lightning is a highly sort of focused fire, or you get to specialize in more like, broad, because thunder, although it can cause a lot of destruction, it's very sort of singular in focus and impact. But let's say you specialize in like broadening, right? Like forest fire type of thing. It's just the visual. Don't like oh, the animals are fine. It's an empty forest. The trees will regenerate. They're not real. I don't know why I feel like I need to say that. Maybe it's because I said in the beginning, it's like, it feel like what you speak, it has the opportunity to happen. So careful. Um, he's an energy that would expound upon gifts. But since war broke out, it's like it wasn't the time to do that, because those would be gifts that would be used in wartime. And he becomes the angel of ruin because he waits so long for peace to come. Right. And then it's like he's built into the temple below him almost, because he used to spend so much time there. And so that's what the heart of this is. I pulled out for significators or signifiers and the Angelarium Oracle cards, each of the Sephira. This has been the left eye knowledge, for example. And then on top of them, I shuffled out the year two Angelarium, and I laid out an angel and the pathways between the left pillar down into Malkuth, the right pillar down into Malkuth, and then the central pillar down into Malkuth. I also placed one of the Diceology cards. We're gonna try to build something out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And I was like, where do I start? And it's like we start at the wings, start at the pillars, but we go down the pillars simultaneously to keep things balanced, right? Because that's what the heart does. It keeps everything in balance. Because when you get a tree out of balance, that's when it can topple over or things get weird. Things getting weird, like weird is such a word that means so many different things. Um, but yes. So on the left side, the pillar of severity, at the top is Gabriel, the Golden Herald. This Golden Herald, oh, you can't even see it. This Golden Herald embodies those transmissions which are most important: words, sounds, and pictures that carry a huge impact. Sometimes the results are glorious, and sometimes they are terrible. Either way, there is no way to hold them back. When the herald lifts, when the herald lifts its lanterns, everyone will see it. When the herald lifts its lantern, everyone will see it. There's no escaping it. And it says what either way, there is no way to hold them back. It reminds me of what Reem just said in the my brain, girl. Outside world of nature, internal world of the psyche, fairies, introduction to the fairy realm. It's something like that. Sorry, my brain has vacated the premises. So we have the herald, and then we have the angel of visions, and it says, "Footsteps fall upon boundless hills, stretching one by one across the landscape. Our journey. See not the darkened slopes that present themselves today. There is light upon the farther side, guiding us onward." The light on the farther side, it's almost Gabriel lifting its lantern on the other pillar, right? I'll have to take a picture of this and use it as a thumbnail if I remember. So here we have on one side the angel of heralds, signaling the coming of something, either glorious or terrible. On the other side is the angel of visions that talks about how dark the journey can be, but it's not to focus on the darkness in front of us, it's to see the light of Gabriel basically ahead. Now, Gabriel is branching down to, is this Barkiel, angel of Pisces? Of course it is. The angel of heralds, the golden herald, is connected to the angel of Pisces through the seven of clubs, a purifying light, a renewed mind, in a moment of timelessness. So there's the reference to that light again. When Gabriel lifts its lantern, all will notice. There's no escaping it. And then we have this purifying light. Barkiel is when harm comes to the people, the relationships, and the things in our lives, we have to take time to help repair them. It's not easy, but bringing those pieces back together is what we have to be to live a good life. In those moments, we are close to Barkiel. Deep down, everyone has a nurturing aspect. Choosing to cultivate it helps bring us closer to our truer selves. These are a little difficult to read from this far, but it's fine. And so Barkiel is sitting on top of Gavora. No, not Gavora. Yeah, Gavora, which is left leg judgment. So the angel of Pisces is sitting in the space of judgment. Gabriel, the golden herald, is sitting in the space of knowledge. And again, connecting them is a purifying light and a renewed mind, a moment of timelessness. This moment of timelessness, it feels like a moment of remembrance. It feels like there were some things that could have been lost to time or something forgotten. I didn't like, I could have, no, I'm going to follow how it said, go up and then we go down and then we'll read down the central column last. And then over here is the Four of Spades, an arrow that swims through the air, forced pliability, and a fixed vision in a volatile space, connecting Remiel to Shatiel, angel of silence. The angel of visions with the angel of silence. I should wear my other glasses. I am. I'm going to switch my glasses real quick. I'm going to make this easier on myself because I don't need to make it this difficult. If I can find them. Here they are. Here you are. Please. Thank you. See, now this little light down here is like, ooh. Sorry. Okay. Let me focus. Yes. Oh, that's so much better. I might not even need this light anymore. Shatiel, angel of silence. That was better when it was closer. Now it's worse. There we go. When words fail, Shatiel descends. The wind dies and the earth comes to a rest. In stillness, a new aspect emerges. Actually, yeah, I don't need this anymore. So we're going to make this. Oop, I'm going to unplug the right thing. I'm going to move this here. Oops. Goodness. There we go. There we go. Oof. Oh, there we go. All right. Maybe. When words fail, Shatiel descends. The wind dies and the earth comes to a rest. In stillness, a new aspect emerges. The touch of an elusive angel. Space around it gains new meaning, held motionless by the grip of its presence. Fear not, it rarely lingers. This feels like Asbeel, honestly. Because it says what? In stillness, a new aspect emerges. And it said that Asbeel was waiting for the war to be over. And then how the space changes. And that's sitting on top of Chakma, right? Nope. Chesed, right hand, empathy. It's sitting in the space of empathy, which makes sense. I wasn't not gonna talk about it, but when I was taking pictures last Monday, a week ago, um, with my friend because she graduated, there was an arch on campus and a statue. There's a statue of the alma mater on campus, and she wanted a picture with it. And then when we got closer after we ate some shawarma, and that's a synchronicity in and of itself, um, there was a gathering about like free Palestine. And then I see some stuff that happened in the news later. I don't know if it had happened before that or after it. It's been something that's been going on for so long that I guess the timing doesn't really matter. And the thing I saw earlier today, somebody shared is like, it's like you eat our food, you enjoy this and you enjoy that, so many aspects of our culture. But when we suffer this violence, it's like you're silent. And this is the angel of silence. Um, and I think it's interesting that I think in Christianity, one of the signs of the end times is supposed to be like a war with Israel or something like that. And that's why, even though we don't have an official religion here in America, and where like you're free to believe whatever it is that you believe, like Judeo Christian, Catholic, more so religions, like kind of sort of dominate. And there's supposed to be a separation of church and state so that everyone has the freedom to believe what it is that they believe. But that line of separation, there are like certain things that we don't do, right? And I watched Left Behind the other day, which is about after the rapture, when Jesus comes and takes the Christians off the planet, or the good people. Because it happened all over the world in the movie. And not that Christians don't exist all over the world, because they do. But it was like more so those who believe and align to lives of love. Um, they got taken and everyone else was left. And again, in the movie, one of the signs was like the war with Israel. And one of the things that they talked about in the movie, and one of the things is one of the signs of the end times, is a universal currency. But it's like, people are willingly buying into Bitcoin all over. That's not anything that was forced. And then it's like, if you do certain things, there are going to be certain actions. And so it's like we could be sort of playing into the end times, but it's not in a way that maybe we thought it was. I feel like it involves a lot more. It's like the choice of man, more so than the interjection of any outside force. Now, it may be outside forces that prey on our own shortcomings, like greed, right? Or anger, or whatever. Pick a deadly sin, right? One of the seven, or even a minor one. And so it's like all these ways in which we sort of choose disharmony, and we choose violence and war, and we choose chaos. But in this moment of stillness is where this new aspect, what did it say? And stillness, a new aspect emerges, the touch of an elusive angel. Space around it gains new meaning, held motionless by the grip of its presence. Space around it gains new meaning, held motionless. And then on the other side in the connection is that moment of timelessness. Here, it's the arrow that swims through the air, forced pliability in a fixed vision in a volatile space. I feel like the fixed vision is the vision of a more unified, harmonious global collective. And the space is so volatile because there's, first of all, because we have free will and free choice. Secondly, because because things are what they are. But it feels like a fixed vision, and see, that's the pliability here. This fixed vision, that's why it's an arrow that swims through the air. It doesn't follow the trajectory and path of a regular arrow. And that's what the card said. In this space, even the very air around it behaves differently. And honestly, it's reminding me of the Two of Swords that came out with that Peregrine Falcon. It's like something about the very nature of this planet, or I don't want to go as far as to, it feels like metaphorically, it's like even the very laws of physics are changing or they're malleable. And so if we're making choices and decisions based on what has always been and based upon what is, right now the South Node is in Sagittarius. So it is kind of sort of for us to be flexible and allowing established thought to change. If we hold firm to what we believe and what has been established and what has been built upon for years and years and years, rather than being courageous or bold enough to be open to something new, be open to something more practical, be open to something that is like you can see it work in day-to-day life with North Node and Gemini. Like I feel like it's an energy for us to be open to right now because it's like the phenomena will change before science does. And that's why it's like you can be a lot faster in these spaces if you sort of listen to spirit. Keep an ear to spirit and be guided in that way. And again, it was that energy of like there's this boom or this exponential expansion that's happening. And if we can align to it, we can sort of ride it. We can move with it rather than it's like the world being rewritten. It's like if you're playing a game and it's loading, either you can wait for the whole world to load and then go out in the world, or you can sort of walk as it's loading and then it's the chariot energy and the vice versa. It's the road ahead is being paved literally under your feet as you move. But as that's happening, what it does is it creates, it's not undefined space, but it creates on the edge of that loading, the laws have not yet been fixed. The laws are not yet written. Now, there are certain things that they must fundamentally abide by to ensure some kind of integrity so that the world doesn't like fall apart, right? But it is a little bit more malleable in these spaces because it hasn't been fixed yet. Because it's almost like when the greater collective perception of something is established, that's when it becomes more fixed. Because reality, it's a shared space between all of us. It's what a lot of us agree works and what doesn't work. And then the laws of physics, those are the laws that the collective agrees to. Like, yeah, that makes sense. That works, right? We're taught, whatever. It's that energy. And so when we're coming into an undefined space that the greater collective has not yet had the opportunity to make an opinion on or to establish themselves in, because again, like Sagittarius isn't here yet. This is Gemini territory. And once it's established, then Sagittarius comes in and they study it and they do that slow scientific process. And then it ends up in a textbook somewhere. But life has always been life. It's us that's tried to catch up and it's us that's tried to make sense out of it. But the phenomena are always there. It's that energy, right? And it honestly feels like something that we would have had access to in the age of Pisces, but also in that time we see like religions starting to be established and we believe what they tell us to believe. And so again, it's like it forms that's hierophant. It creates structure in ways where we could have been more free flowing. And as its influence grew and spread, it's like it further locked and solidified everything in place, which is echoed and mirrored in that super dense, like super earth epoch that we're coming out of, or that we've come out of as we moved into the air epoch. You know, shout out to Russell from Wrestling Around. And it's like Hierophant energies took advantage of that to set the laws. But now that there's such a great shaking and awakening, things are becoming less malleable because people don't yet know what to think or believe. Public consensus hasn't been established yet in these areas. Oh, my whole left hand is like, oh gosh. Oh, and the left side came out first. I don't know. It's like all sore. Oh, now my left arm is achy. It's fine. Okay. And force pliability is an energy. It's like it's things that we would have changed, but the change has been it's been delayed because the Hierophant was as prevalent as it was because we bought into it as much as we did. We really had to go through a lot in order to maybe begin to see that things could work and operate in a different way before we were open to before we were bombarded with in some ways everything that's happening sometimes all over the planet. And it's like how long are we going to continue to live out old stories or old sort of narratives? How long are we going to keep ourselves from establishing or finding and creating peace? How long are we going to keep fighting wars that have been oh, but it's like it creates and recreates pain and trauma by like preserving it and proliferating it, carrying it on from generation to generation. It's like if you hurt somebody, they're gonna be hurt. And then from that hurt space, a lot of people go and hurt other people. And it's always this like back and forth of getting even, but it never stops. And there was an energy again with the Peregrine Falcon. It was almost like, and by the end of the reading, it's like there is a device in place that can absorb the shock, that can absorb the momentum, the inertia. It can absorb the inertia from something that suddenly loses its momentum. 1 second. I'm trying to keep the bag low because this isn't a sponsored video. It just popped up. Okay, like we're getting somewhere. I was really nervous. Okay. All right. So, but we also have this herald off in the distance. You know what? Remy said that they said to unleash, no more holding back. And so this is something I might have reserved for the other channel back in the day, but we're just going to go there. Hierophant energies have dictated and determined how this planet has progressed for a long time. And it's almost like a lot of people went to like these doomsday, like the earth is ending scenarios when everything happened last year. And it's almost like Hierophant energies have convinced us of what the end looks like. And Hierophant energies have also convinced us that the end is the end. We see the end as the closing of a chapter rather than the beginning that it is. And it's like, why? I never understood why ending world hunger and world peace were like markers of the end times. And it's like, that sounds like, I mean, it sounds like some of the most divine stuff that would have happened. Like, we finally stop fighting each other. We stop killing each other. We share with one another. It's like we do what Jesus taught us, but instead of it, it's like on a larger scale now. But now it's the Antichrist rather than the Christ because it's like the whole world instead of like you and your neighbor or something. I don't know why. It's like we're in a space of like it's like it creates this energy where we fear it or we avoid it because of what it would mean. And it's like, does it even mean that though? It's like the people in power who literally shape beliefs, which are I just watched Inception and it's like, what's one of the hardest what's one of the most virus what's the biggest virus? And it's like an idea. But beyond that, it's a belief. And hierophants have been shaping beliefs for a very long time to the point where people can literally kill people, take lives and lives and feel nothing and feel justified in it. And again, you know, Hierophant will capitalize on your belief to have you manifest an ending when it's nothing more than a beginning. Or it could be. But that's what Hierophant is good at. It's good at instilling beliefs, twisting belief, and then using that to get people to do stuff. That's why in the Spirit Keeper's Tarot and the Five of Swords card, he's wearing the head of the Papal Bull. He does that on behalf of the Hierophant. And it reminds me, I've only played the game Dante's Inferno, but Dante was a crusader. And then in the afterlife, he wakes up in hell and he's like, whoa, why am I down here? And then the devil's like, do you really think that God would tell you to go out there, kill people, take women, and like that was gonna get you into heaven? Like, so when the Hierophant told you that, you really believed it, huh? But it's like we're all born with the heart. We're all born with a conscience. We all know when something doesn't really fully like line up or when it doesn't like sit right with us. And we make choices and decisions. These fries aren't that good, but they're good enough. I'm glad to have something in my stomach because now I'll shake less. Gotta put energy in. Well, we give energy out. Oh, and that's why Asbeel just stands there, waiting for peace. But that's the light on the horizon. But again, it's like Hierophant has convinced us to fear this light on the horizon. And I never understood why a unified Earth, first of all, why the Antichrist would be the one that was able to do that. And secondly, like, why is that? Like, why is it a bad thing? And even if there was like It's like we look at a globalized currency as a bad thing, but in my mind, it's like the world is so interconnected anyway already. It's like it would just like logically make sense. We do more and more and more business with other countries, and it keeps the currency exchange up. Again, it reminds me of that creepy Four of Pentacles that's in the Pride Tarot, where he holds the coin with the dollar sign, the coin with the pound sign, the coin with all kind of different currencies, and like, so if we cut out the middleman and just have one currency, like that's evil. But again, it's like I go on Wish and I buy stuff from China. I go to somebody's PayPal and I donate and it does the currency conversion. But there's no evil in converting currency. The evil is in just holding one currency. Like that's it's some of the stuff that I don't get it. And maybe it's not for me to get, maybe it's not for me to understand. After all, I'm just a man in my mom's house. Until I get this job and I get my own place. Hey, let's go. Sorry. But yeah, it's like I don't get it. And it's like, okay, Hierophant, like I see what you're trying to sell me, and I see that you're trying to sell me fear when it comes to world peace, when it comes to ending world hunger, when it comes to a globalized currency in a space where like our economies are already interconnected to the point because we do so much business. Hello. But I'm supposed to fear this. And again, it's like I feel like it takes advantage of the fact that with the progression of nature, with how spirit works, for all of the division that Hierophant sowed into this planet, it's like eventually the divine would have set us on a path to like overcome our differences, right? And so it's like Hierophant knew that Hierophant's time was limited. So what it did was it sowed fear, it sowed seeds of fear of an end time when those happened. Rather than, again, it's like I don't see how we turn like a globalized collective, a harmonized collective, into like I don't. And again, maybe it's not for me to see. So going back to this, so I can finish my French fries now. So we have this energy here, and that's why it's a forced pliability, because Hierophant would have never willingly done these. So something had to happen to force things to bend and bend and bend. Hopefully we don't break. It was a lot. And I'm sure that there are people, I know that there was at least one person who did break, unfortunately. But something about this space is inherently different. It's an arrow that swims, and the visual of this is like it moves through the air in a way that an arrow typically doesn't move. It's like Sagittarius is known to be, not known to be, but Sagittarius could be that marksman that never misses its mark. And then you get something that moves very erratically. And so then it's like the arrow moves just as erratically to hit its mark. Right now, with the South Node in Sagittarius, it's about Sagittarius being more than Sagittarius. But in Sagittarius being more than just Sagittarius, it actually becomes more Sagittarius. So now, on the left side, we move from Barkiel, Angel of Pisces, to Turiel, Angel of the Mountain. Of the Mountain. It's you from the mountain. I remember what Ulduar back in the Lich King days of World of Warcraft. So, Turiel, the first Watcher of the East. The way Turiel carried his massive stature was a matter of public spectacle. His feats of strength were sometimes put to good use, but often bled into showmanship. The praise people showered him with seemed to sustain the angel almost as much as food and water. It's belief. That's why. Because it's like when we believe on this plane, the more we believe in something, the more of a presence it holds, or the more of a presence it's allowed to hold. Right? It's like it. Right? It chapter two. It preys on fear. Fear is what it uses to anchor itself into this reality to the point where it can actually affect you. Freddy Krueger was the same, right? I think the only Freddy movie I watched was Freddy versus Jason. But it's like, yeah, because he couldn't do any damage to people in their dreams until there was enough fear. Now, fear is a tool that a lot of things will use to sort of anchor themselves here and to give themselves power or to control people. Because fear can be like, I was afraid for a very long time. So I personally know how powerful fear can be. Can be. But I've also, and now we're going to start smiling like an idiot. Within the past 2 years of my life, I've been able to experience that love can actually be a lot more powerful than fear. And there were moments and times where I had to do more or be more or to be present when everything within me wanted to withdraw. And love would be the one thing that made it easy. I know, like, a lot of, again, all of the growth that I've done in the past year, a lot of it was first motivated by love. And then it was motivated by love itself. And then it was both. And it was so easy. It was the easiest my journey's been since I started my journey. And love did that. It wasn't fear. It wasn't regret, even though I'm glad to have less things like I don't regret anything that I've done since January 2020. And that's gorgeous because I had a life full of regrets. Um, but love can be more powerful when we allow for it to be, right? And so with Gabriel, Barkiel, the dreamer, the believer, Pisces, and Turiel, that's what's shifting. That's what's changing. And I believe more that the dominant frequency prevails more so than like good eventually prevails. Because before good really does, because good is constantly happening, but we have to allow it to be the dominant frequency, right? And when that shifts, that's when things begin to really shift. And right now, when this, it's like there's so much confusion that the Hierophant's hold has slipped a little bit, even as we sort of buy into this doomsday. Not all of us, some of us buy into this doomsday end times. The world is ending. Like the governments are going to come in and take over control of people. They're going to put chips in people using the vaccines and like this pandemic thing. Like, honestly, it's since the beginning, it's reminded me of the story of Job, where Job was like the most faithful, the most devout believer, and he was abundantly blessed for it. And the devil or Satan was like, I bet I can get Job to curse you. And God said, no way. Job, like anybody else, yeah, Job, never gonna happen. And then the devil was like, bet. And God was like, bet. And so Job lost everything. Even his wife at one point was like, you've lost like your house, you've lost the cattle, you've lost children. Like, I would curse God. And Job was like, girl, why would I do that? And you're starting to look a little sus right now. And then I think he lost that wife. Everything Job lost was already like, God had already like agreed to letting him lose that. And then what happened after Job kept his faith? After the devil lost that bet, lost that gambit, Job had everything returned and more. And if we allow events and circumstances in our lives to generate so much fear that we automatically buy into this end of the world, doomsday, this, that, to the point where we kind of sort of play into it, rather than standing strong in our own belief. That's why last year I started saying, like, when the world goes dark, shine brighter. And again, it's like, it's understandable if you went dark too. Who wouldn't? A lot of people would. A lot of people did. But again, it's like, it's the power of collective belief. And maybe it's just the way I believe. I don't believe in a divine that would allow for like something like this to happen, to then put the government or some secret world shadow government in control of everybody or something. And that's why personally it's like, I think it's interesting, I guess, like what we can believe that the divine can do and what we believe that the divine can't do, or like, I think it's interesting where we choose to limit the divine and where we choose to believe in a divine that is omnipotent. But it's like, we believe in an omnipotent divine that isn't great enough to stop some secret shadowy world government from putting chips in like everybody. And South Node and Sagittarius, it's time to question what you believe. And this isn't like a surface level belief. Like Sagittarius is like higher, like thinking. It's philosophy. It's even religion. Like, well established beliefs is what we're questioning in Sagittarius. Well established beliefs. Now, Turiel is connected to Barkiel through the Ace of Clubs, a strong will and an open heart, all things taken into account. So, the first channel is a purifying light, a renewed mind, a moment of timelessness, and then a strong will and an open heart. This feels like coming online. This feels like taking that purifying light, and then it's like, again, it reminds me of the energy of the divine feminine energy, that's like, it's meeting us where we're at. It's shaking off the things that keep us like anchored out of alignment, and then it's trying to like pull us up, because it's like this light comes down and it feels very like ultrasonic, right, where you like vibrate. It's like, I think that's how UV works. Like when you blast something with UV light, you basically shake it to death. You shake it until the cells like just fall apart. They shake apart. And but instead of it like shaking us apart, it's like it's shaking all of this stuff out of us, all this weird stuff. And then here it's like resting in the body. And then we become like a light. It's like, right, it's like you get struck by, and I got this visual in Miss Remy Healing's Pisces video when she said Jupiter was splitting the sky and the lightning came down. It was like you get struck by lightning, but then like your eyes glow, and then like lightning starts crackling out because now you embody that light, right? Type of energy. And it ends with Turiel. Turiel is when the, again, it's like we're in this space before the collective consciousness shifts, before a collective awareness shifts into this space, where it's like, when by the time we reach Turiel, it's like more people are there and there's a real power there. Welcome back. And it's like the more of these people who like come online or who stand in this, that's why things are starting to speed up. That's why things are starting to quicken. It's like a train building momentum, because again, belief is what anchors things into this plane and into this reality. The divine is constantly around us. But if our belief isn't there, and if our will and our actions don't align to it, it has no anchor in this space. And it reminds me of Armoros, when after all that weird stuff happened between, the old people and the angels, Armoros severed that which kept the angels anchored here. And then they went beyond the veil, and humans were put on curfew. And like that curfew was the veil. It's limited interaction, because then people got weird. It's like, why y'all killing angels now? Like, why y'all trying to take on the power of like angels? And it's almost like, I guess I never thought about it, but in some, and I'm not trying to be whatever, but it's almost like in certain like what we would consider to be more tribal systems, like where they would eat the heart of a warrior to take on his courage and to take on his power. It reminds me of that show where they killed one of the, it wasn't a god, but it was one of the creatures that God created. And they split it up into four pieces. And when they took those pieces into themselves, humans became gods. Like Dionysus was one of them. I think Iris was another one. I forget who the other two were. But it's like they were these people who conspired a long, long, long time ago to kill this creature and to take its power. And that's how they became gods. And then it's like, that's why in Olympus, when the Olympian gods killed the Titans, when the Titans ruled, it was the golden age. Like there was peace. People weren't around here doing weird stuff. We didn't need laws because people weren't, killing people, stealing from people, doing stuff like that. But when the gods come, they kill the Titans, and when they take over Olympus and they force the Titans into Tartarus, now all of a sudden it's chaos on Earth. The gods are running around here doing all kinds of things to people. How many people did Zeus get pregnant? And then Hera couldn't do anything to Zeus, so Hera would punish the women that Zeus already got pregnant. And it's like, is this really necessary? Like, that's when things got weird. When the Olympian gods came down and like when they killed the Titans. I mean, I guess the Titans did. Cronus supposedly took out, supposedly. But again, maybe it was supposedly. Who controls the narrative is always the question. Right? That's why it's like with the whole like Adam, Eve, and Lilith thing, it's like where even now, like you'll hear dudes talk about like, oh, she's crazy, she's this, she's that, but they won't talk about like what they did in that dynamic. And it's like, well, is she crazy or are you like not that great of a person? You know what I mean? But history has taught us that to pay attention to who controls the narrative and who tells the story. Turiel again is when that shifts because more and more people start to embody more and more. It's like the vessel sort of like fills up with light. And that was that it came out between the higher heart and the lower heart. Like it sounded like the heart was being emptied, but the sound of it being emptied was the sound of something else filling up. And that's like our vessels as they fill up with light, right? And again, take it as it resonates. Maybe it's metaphorical. I don't know. I don't know. I'm down here living just like everybody else is living, right? So on the right hand side, we have Remiel into Shatiel, Angel of Silence, into Semyaza, Angel of Pride. All hail, firstborn, giver of names, father of giants, protector of the house of man. Long shall be his days. Now, Semyaza is weird for me. There's a strength energy here. There's also some like Ra or Horus energy, a little bit of a dragon energy too. I'm trying to see it. Yeah, the snake. No, it's not here. This Samyaza carries a story. The other Samyaza, there was this energy of old Hierophant, which everything I just talked about, where how it's like, so if you didn't catch all those videos, there was this story with Azazel, who was like one of the first watcher of whatever direction, the north maybe, I don't remember. Or was Turiel the north? I can check and see if it's north or not. Turiel was of the east. Okay. But it's like, he taught man how to make weapons. And Azazel loved man. And he was always with man. And he was like loved and appreciated and respected until something happened and then he wasn't. And as much as he was loved, he gained ire. And it almost came through as like this energy of like, Azazel taught man to make weapons so that they can fend for themselves and hunt and survive on this planet. But then at some point, man turned their weapons on the angels. And then we see Barkiel, not Barkiel, Barbiel, the angel of lightning, who was like, he didn't know his own power and so he died. And then you get Satariel, angel of deception, who died. And it's like, okay, we've lived for how long with these angels sort of like, being around. Then all of a sudden we introduce man to the equation and now angels are starting to go down. And then there was a great happening, right? In Armoros, it's like after Barkiel fell, then the angels, he severed what the monuments that held the angels here, and then they put man on curfew. And then you get the Penamue, where it's like, oh, Penamue is like at the graves of man, putting their names in the stone, making them like angels. But then in the other pyramid Penamue, it's like what hath been wrought on the fiery hilltop, the statues of man whose names the angels forgot. And it's like, well, now we have this veil. Because whenever we try to give somebody a little bit of a gift or an edge or an ability, things get weird. And people already do it now. People, for whatever reason, will think, oh, it was just 1 11 11 and then 1 1. That was a lot of ones. It's like we get a little bit of a position. We get a little bit of authority. It's like you don't even have a position or authority. You go into a grocery store and you think you can talk to somebody who works there any kind of way. You go to a restaurant and you think you can talk to the waiter any kind of way. And it's like, I mean, maybe there's a reason why we're as disconnected as we are, why that veil is in place. And so it felt like, again, it felt like old Hierophant would have been one of the firsts, one of the ones who turned against the angels and then took on some knowledge. Or maybe there were certain systems that existed back then that held on to those traditions. There are quite a few like systems and cultures that held on to the knowledge that they had from back when there were others, right? And not saying that those were the weird ones. Maybe the weird ones are the ones out here doing weird stuff now. But it's like those who came first took that information and then determined like that's what the Hierophant does, what it allows, what it permits, and what it prohibits. They give you enough information to do a little bit of something, but they don't give you enough to the point where you no longer need them. And again, the Hierophant at the end of the day should be a tool for us to get to know the divine further for ourselves. A lot of us sort of form connections and dependencies on Hierophants. And it's like we should have that connection with the divine. And I will be the first person to tell you I'm not interested in being anybody's Hierophant. Like, I don't want to feel like someone depends on me for a message, for whatever. Like, that's not it, to me. I don't want to say that's weird, but it makes me feel weird because I'm like, you should form a relationship with the divine. Now, like, can I be there to assist? Yeah, like, glad to be that. If I can be that, glad to be that. But not here to be a substitute for anyone's connection to the divine. I'm not here for that. I'm sure you can go find somebody else to be that, but it's not me. Anyway, that was the story with Old Semyaza, or that's how it came through first. Like the humans who killed whatever that thing was and made themselves into gods. This Semyaza, or more recently, it came through as there's this energy of like, and it was after I did the three kings, the three judges of the underworld, Radamanthus, Aeacus, and Minos, or Minos. It's like when we can be down here, where we can be seen. What was it? It was something about being seen. Then we sort of, it's basically an ascended master energy where we live our lives on earth in a certain way that gets us closer and closer to more direct communication and interaction with all that lies on the other side of the veil. When we prove that we cannot be weird, when things get a little dark or challenging, because, it's life. So if you're just one bad day from a complete and total meltdown, it's like, well, maybe we won't give you the thing that can potentially affect a lot of people. We need you to be a little bit more, I don't want to say stable than that because it can sound a little ableist, but it's like, It's like when everyone jokes about like, oh well, if we have a woman president, then she'll start a war on her period. Not taking into account all of the people who supposedly didn't have periods that made the world what it is today. That type of, but it's like if there's someone who's a little bit unstable, you probably don't want to give them a weapon or the ability to take lives because then they could be one bad day from a tragedy. So all that being said, this Semyaza, well, let's see what's connecting these. The Three of Diamonds, a school of glimmering fish, spotlight a sunken treasure, the rising of a new continent. Yeah, this is the us. Because again, when the world goes dark, shine brighter. That type of energy. This, it's like it's illuminating and also awakening what lies dormant within us. But what lies dormant within us, it's like it's evolved through necessity. It's evolved so that without a healed and integrated shadow, you would never be able to access it. Because again, it's like we're trying to limit weird stuff, basically. Like bad weird stuff, not good weird stuff, like bad weird stuff. Like, wait, you're gonna go and do what to people for why? Like, no, that's no, stop. Why? Like, what? No, no, no. Like, let's not, let's not, target a specific group of people and subject them to things that aren't great. Like, like let's not do that. Like, we have enough of a history of doing that without you being the person to go out and do it. So it's that which lies within us. And again, it mirrors and echoes that energy of like once we sort of become vessels that can hold so much light, it's like those things just kind of sort of naturally start to come online. Because it's like now you have enough power to turn the wheels and to get things moving. Also, it's like the degree to which our shadow is sort of healed and integrated is probably pretty directly correlated to our capacity to hold light. And then there's this like interesting light dark thing that happens where shadow isn't involved. And ego and shadow, like they're different. I think. I think they're different. So, and this was coming into the angel of silence. Yeah, and that was again, that was the energy. It's like Asbeel is waiting here for the war to be over before he starts accepting gifts or before he starts expounding upon gifts, before he starts taking us further, right? It's like imagine if there was, something more deadly than nuclear warfare. Probably don't put that on Earth because, it's already weird down there. They're barely struggling to keep that together and it seems like anyway, yeah, it gets weird, okay? It gets weird and we're trying to limit weird stuff. So I love that this Semyaza, okay. And then with this energy, because both Semyaza and Turiel are going to feed into the Malkuth, are going to feed into the ground. So that's why we're taking both of these pillars at the same time because they both meet down here. And so this is like now spirit is in a position to really move less encumbered, and you come into a position of rising to be like someone who works in conjunction with spirit. I was looking for the white snake, and you can see it there. I think it was there, kind of. And the other Semyaza card, it's more prevalent. But you can see this white snake sort of like here. And then there's the red snake in Turiel. And that's what I was talking about. In the pillar card, it was the pillar, the universe, and the outlaw, I think. On the pillar, the snakes were coiled around and they met at the top. It's not necessarily piercing the veil. It's the gate of Sahakiel. It's like it opens up. And there waits Phanuel, angel of truth, right? Waiting for you to claim the truth of who you are. Oh my gosh. Again, check out the video, Miss Remy Healings. Um, us discovering the truth of who we are, and we're not as bad of people as we think we are, right? So what lies at the bottom of all of this is Af, which is the angel of anger, which is interesting. Af was not gifted with great strength, stature, or wisdom, but his resolve was unshakable. His power was to fight with his heart. He took to the training ground every day, outlasting all who joined him. The struggle was his fuel. He was a cruel teacher, but the results of his mentorship convinced people to tolerate him for a while. It wasn't the first death on the training ground that caused people to turn their backs on him, but there was something about the sight of that little girl's lifeless body. This is one of the ones where I'm like, oof. And see, like, what is this? I'm interested to see what this is because it's interesting. It's like when it said it wasn't the first death on the training ground that where people started to look at Af or Afe. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll say Afe. And again, it like that reminds me of this old Hierophant energy, where it's like, old Hierophant energy will teach and preach love and acceptance, but will in reality do things that are very different. And it's like we don't look at and we don't see, we don't question in those spaces. And it's that human thing, I guess, where it's like it takes for us to be personally affected by something before we really care, before we really want to do something about it. And again, it's that, like, I don't want to say it's the disease of complacency and compliance, but it's what's allowed the heart of humanity to grow as cold as it has. Oh, they don't look like me. Oh, like, that's not here. Oh, well, what did they do? Like, did they deserve it? And again, it's like that's almost one of the metrics. It's like, well, can you care? Can you hold enough compassion for others that this moves you in some way? Because if not, then, you know, that's weird. I mean, isn't it weird though that stuff can happen to people and people don't even care? Is it not weird that like we can be more concerned about animals than we are about other people? Maybe it's not weird because like we should be concerned with like everybody, but like that's a whole person or a whole group of people who are suffering, but like I don't know. It reminds me of I don't know what that show was, but she was like, I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty. And then the other girl's like, you can excuse racism? I saw it more as a meme than the actual show, but that was what the meme said. It's like, I can excuse this and this and this, but I draw the line at animal cruelty. And it's like, I don't know. Our hearts can be a little bigger than that. That's all I'm going to say. But both of these feed down into Aph. Let's see what connects it. So connecting Turiel to Aph is the three of hearts in reverse. I'll see. Where form and function align, the power of words to brighten and terraform. Six of diamonds, a single blade that cuts through the tempest, calming the winds, a dislodged hunk of cheese. I think this three of hearts is in reverse because it's like on the spirit side of things, it is the things like spirit could do, but we also have choice, will, and subsequently consequence. And if we want to mitigate consequence, then we should make different choices. It's almost like being let off on good behavior, right? As long as we continue to make the same choices and decisions, it just reinforces the same consequence, right? But this single blade cutting through the tempest, calming the winds. Oh, it was the sword that I don't know how to pronounce that fairy's name. Again, Miss Remy Healing, she just read it. like hours ago at this point, or I saw it hours ago. It was like on one side, the blade gives us like clarity and the ability to see through illusions. But on the fairy side, on the spiritual side of things, it's like it represents courage, strength, and valor. And it's one that a noble warrior would hold. And it reminds me, it was like the fairy swords crafted by the dwarves. First of all, like Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, a lot of other things. Also, that it's weird, but I'll say that if I remember. It goes back. It makes me think of that energy. It came out last year at some point. I don't remember the origin of it, but it's like we were going to Archangel Michael to help us with something, and Archangel Michael was like, "Oh, can't. Sorry, busy. Like the surf is awesome today, but I left my sword, and you can use my sword to take care of whatever it is that you need to take care of." And it's like, okay, so Michael Spirit puts us in a position where now we utilize and we wield the power of our free will and choice and belief to begin to make changes and to correct for things ourselves rather than being overly dependent on spirit to come down and to rid us of consequence so we can continue to make the same choices basically. And then it's like after we do what we needed to do, it's like, oh, hey Mike, here's thanks for the sword, I took care of it. um you can have it back. And he's like, that's not my sword, that's your sword. And you're like, what? Like, I thought you said you couldn't help me because like whatever. It's like, I mean, I could have helped you, yeah, but if I helped you, then it wouldn't have helped you. And I wanted to help you. So to help you, I didn't help you. I encouraged you, led you, guided you through the process of helping yourself. And now that you've helped yourself, you found something, didn't you? And you're like, yeah, I guess I did. And then Michael's like, okay, well, show me what you got. And that's when you go through the process of like learning the sword. Learning the sword is this semyaza energy, while Michael is like your mentor. See, but this okay, yeah. This is Michael being your mentor in a caring way, right? It's through that open-hearted compassion, things that make sense, not weird stuff. Six of Pentacles, Three of Hearts, very good energies, typically. And then this eighth is the one down here where it's like eighth could teach you how to use the sword, but it's like you don't want to learn the sword from eighth. Because when eighth teaches you the sword, it's that like that double-edged sword. It's that sword where if you cut something down, like you are cut down three times as much type of. This is weird. See, look at like yeah, like that's weird. Sorry, eighth, but that's a little weird. Maybe you combat weirdness. The interesting part, the reason why I was like kind of rolled my eyes a little bit on Keter came out on the crown, came out the front side of this angel. No, again, I pulled out the other side of the angel because it dropped out and there's nothing on this. And so Keter is coming up with the front side of it, which is fine because Keter it's the realm of things that we don't really fully understand anyway. But this is almost like head in heaven type of energy. This is like connecting to, I guess that's representative of the higher self, the side, the part of you that's more connected to the divine, the part of you that's less weird in a bad way, more weird in a good way, more good weird, less bad weird, right? And that's connected to Asbeel in the heart with nearly perfect harmony, a crystal clear night of charted stars, and triplets in the third trimester. Triplets in the third trimester is an energy of divine feminine energy being fully and completely present all at once, and it's about to be birthed, right? It's the mother, the maiden, and the crone all together, all at the same time, and it's about to be birthed into the world. That's what triplets in the third trimester is. And that card never quite had context like it kind of like it does now, with divine feminine energy starting to make itself known the way it's being made known. And again, the more presence it holds in collective consciousness and awareness, the greater it is able to anchor itself into this plane and to begin to move in this plane and to be interacted with in this plane as well, right? But it works off of the frequency of like love and good stuff rather than fear and not great stuff. So then that's connected to Asbeel. Asbeel is connected to, who is this? Oh, Bezaliel, duh. This is the Bezaliel that I've been feeling a lot lately. Like, that's the higher self. That's us. So, a forced uprising, an ancient word that stirs ancient things to life whispered. This is the ancient things that is starting to stir because of the ancient word that was spoken. It's starting to return. It's almost like your higher self. What is that? See, that's why Penamue was useful, because Penamue would write your name down. And so when the self of you from spirit came, it's like, oh, there's the name, boom. And it was like this immediate connection. But after things got weird and they severed the stones, the monuments that connected the divine here, and after Penamue was like, yeah, I don't know who that is. Nope, sorry. Then it became this journey. And it's like we have to shine in the way that we shine to be seen. So, a forced uprising, an ancient word that stirs ancient things to life whispered. An ancient word that stirs ancient things to life whispered, as we've had that triplets in the third trimester energy. I see it. Bezaliel, falling through the branches, standing still among the shaking leaves, stop and listen. My approach, my touch, the wind shifts, and there I am, cool against your skin. I will not leave you. I feel like there's like a little bit of a running in this. I feel like maybe we get like a little bit of an idea of what we're being asked to do. Maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome sets in, maybe a little bit of low self esteem, self worth sets in. And so we try to run from something. And the larger part of ourselves is like, I'm not going to leave you. Also, maybe like we don't feel worthy in some way. Like maybe there's something that like our past, it's like, and it's still like, I'm not going to leave you. So this is gorgeous energy. Again, there's that stillness. It's the stillness that Asbeel is waiting for to resume doing what it did. It can't do it in the space of war. And old Hierophant energy has put us at war, kind of sort of with the very elements of life itself. And not just old Hierophant energy, because it's life, right? So then we move from the Two of Diamonds to the Three of Swords, which is eighth. Number three, Three of Swords, a complete restructuring of home, a breathtaking sight that redefines beauty and allowing one's soul to breathe. And then we have eighth here. A complete restructuring of home is what happens when Bezaliel comes in. And again, it's almost like, so on the left side and on the right side, we can see a little bit more of the spiritual side, I guess. And on the right side is a little bit more of the us side, right? Because it's like on the left side, things are happening. On the right side, it's like with Remiel, it was like, don't focus on the darkness, see the light beyond the darkness. Then it was be still. And then we come into the Samyaza, right? On the other side, it's like, they initiate things with Gabriel, right? Everyone will see the light, everyone will see the lantern when it's raised, there's no escaping it. And then it goes into Barkiel, which is about repairing relationships. Maybe it's, again, take it as it resonates, maybe it's repairing the relationship between man and the divine. Now that the divine is finding those individuals who won't be who won't be bad weird, right? Where it's like, oh, you take what I give you and then you try to use it to cage me or to force me to do weird stuff. And it's like, yeah, no, not about that. Not about that. Go somewhere else. Go see Afe. Or don't go see Afe. It's just like, yeah, we're not doing that weird stuff, right? And it's like the divine is repairing that relationship with Barkiel while we're in this position of stillness. And then after that relationship is repaired, that's when divine rises to the space of Turiel. And we're like, oh my gosh, but we also rise to the space of Semyaza. And the divine is like, hey, nice job down there. And then together, we take down eighth. We take down all of this anger and hatred and all of these not great feelings that just, it's like they're karmically trapped on this planet. Again, it's like there are wars from how long ago that we still fight to this day in some places. And it can never be released because generation after generation after generation, it proliferates. We teach it, or we keep living it out. We rebrand and we wound and cause all this weirdness to keep coming instead of being in a position to like let it go. And that's why it's like between the divine and between man, it's forming between the divine and, I don't want to say the enlightened man, but I guess I'll say the enlightened man. It forms this pincer attack through some great sort of shaking, some great happening. It's like the divine is the head, and then we're the tail. But like we're the tail that sort of like I pulled out of the deck already. In the divine, it's like again, it's an incomplete divine energy because the divine it could, but it doesn't force things. It honors and respects our will and our choice. Now it can strongly encourage us sometimes, right? But this is all about choice. And this is a place and a position that we reach within self. What was the bottom of the decks? I don't know. But that's where I'm going to end this. This was gorgeous. And so this is what Asbeel has been up to. I feel like Asbeel is going to be, he's slowly like waking up, slowly coming to, disseminating information. Maybe through the space of dreams, maybe not, I don't know. However you get info. And again, there's something about this space. This is a lot of fives. There's a 5 on this card. And no, only two threes. 5 5. There's a 55 and two fives. I just looked at it. But it is a time of great, mighty, and significant change. Oh, they're here. I can see. Yeah, the Stargate. 10 of Hearts. A Stargate that leads to fantastic places, correcting what has been misused and stabilizing timelines. It's that correcting thing, right? Again, it's like, we prove that we're not weird. Like, I'm not going to be weird, right? I'm not going to. It's like how we even have the saying with it's like absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, it's like, well, we're looking for the incorruptible. Again, if you feel so guided, they're kind of long, but check out either the Iacus or the Radamanthus in the Three Judges, Three Kings of the Underworld series. The Minos one was weird because Minos didn't sacrifice what was given to Minos to sacrifice, and because he didn't, he incurred some kind of karma, and then he was sacrificing 7 boys and 7 girls every odd number of years to keep the Minotaur a secret in the basement. And it's like, or you could have just did what you like promised the divine that you would have done in the first place. Like, hello, like, don't be weird, don't be bad weird. Right? Again, being good weird is fine. Top of the deck was Phanuel, Angel of Truth. Bottom of the deck is Cambiel, Angel of Aquarius. What's at the top of this one? I need to take the picture. I almost forgot. For the thumbnail. The top of this deck is the King of Clubs, where feminine and masculine meet. The conception of innocence, nesting and preparation. That nesting and preparation is interesting because we got those triplets in the 3rd trimester. Something is about to be born. And it looks like it's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to take this picture before I forget. And then I will catch y'all when I catch y'all. Have a good one. Also, so nothing came out for Dayat, but there is the bridge in front of it. What is this void? The void feels like an empty throne. It feels like what has been left sort of unoccupied due to said weirdness. I just saw the empty chair. And that, where did I see it? I feel like it was in the video. It's like May, the video that starts with May in the title. I don't know. All right, my head like hurt drastically less after I got into it. So take it as it resonates. I hope you'll have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that when opportunity comes a knocking, that you do what you need to do to get right. Right. I wish you all the best in de-bad weirdifying yourself and re-good weirdifying yourself. Bye.